Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman. On today's show, Ken talks with Mary Kay Thatcher with American Farm Bureau, then John Slajic from Kansas Farm Bureau on a new book focusing on Kansas farm and ranch families. Then KDA talks from the land of Kansas, and then we get a report from Kansas soybean, plus a weekly report from the Kansas Livestock Association and a market update from the guys at Paragon. Thanks for watching.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Well, joining us now is John Slajic from the Kansas Farm Bureau as Kansas Farm Bureau gets ready to celebrate their 100th anniversary. And with that, what a better way to celebrate than with a book. And, of course, John writes a weekly column inside. A lot of folks read that. But you have done a book entitled Our Land, Our Lives, focusing on Kansas farmers and ranchers and their stories. So I guess first tell us why the book.
Well, Ken, I think that there has been a lack of a book about farmers and ranchers in Kansas that's devoted to this vocation. I wasn't able to stay on the farm, but I think farming and ranching is the most noble profession there is, bar none. And throughout the 30-some years I've worked with Kansas Farm Bureau, I've had an opportunity to be in every county and on farm and ranches all over the state. And that has been a gift. That's been one of the most wonderful things anyone could do in their profession, I think. Be out there with these people that produce livestock, they produce crops, they produce, as they always tell you, their best crop is their family. They have families. But the title of the book, Our Land, Our Lives, if you go into flip through the first 3 or 4 pages on there, there's one blank white page, and on there it says, every farmer and rancher, like all farmers and ranchers say, my life begins with the land. So our land, our lives. The land is everything about it. And I put it in 4 categories. There are 4 categories in there. It's about their lives, what they do in their communities. Farmers are the leaders in their communities. They're the leaders in their professions. They're the leaders in about anything that goes on. They always have been. And then you've got our land. And they have to have the land to have crops. They have to have it to do livestock. And then you have the livestock, and that's a section about there's goats in there, there's sheep in there, there's everybody in there. And it encompasses 5 generations and the end of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and 2010. So you've got 5 decades, too. Not full decades, but so you've got not 50 years, but 30-some years. And it's a tribute to the men and women that provide the food that everyone in this country and everyone in the world eats.
So as you put this together, is this the collection that you've done over your time? And are there some that go back to the 70s and through the progression?
Absolutely. And I tried, what I wanted to do was represent almost every county in Kansas with a farmer and rancher. I was cognizant of things like there's at least 40% of the pictures are families in there, so it's not just a male. And when they are male and female, there's about 40% that are female in there. But more importantly, in Farm Bureau, we call them farm and ranch families. And so it was a lot of family activities throughout there. But they're actual photographs from the farm and ranch in a setting that's probably the most wonderful setting there is. I know there's heartache involved with it when you lose a crop, or if there's, I don't know, if you have a flood or whatever else might happen. But still, out there doing God's work, where you're actually growing something is a wonderful profession, and I wanted to give that back to our farmers and ranchers.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Well, joining us now is Mary Kay Thatcher from the American Farm Bureau Federation. And Mary Kay, one of the featured presenters at the Kansas Farm Bureau meeting. And Mary Kay, it looks like everybody wanted to talk to you because you must have all the answers to what's going on in Washington.
I don't think I have any of the answers, but certainly we were talking about important issues that are timely, like taxes, like how are we going to fund the federal government, getting ready for the Farm Bill.
Well, what's happening right now, what has been happening, is tax reform and folks trying to find victories. As you look at 2017, did we have a lot of victories in Washington?
Well, you know, we had a lot of regulatory victories. I think it's, especially in agriculture, you look at EPA and you look at what Administrator Pruitt has done, things like Waters of the U.S., et cetera. So those were positive, but we didn't have a lot of legislative victories. It's just gotten very, very difficult to be bipartisan about much of anything.
Well, it seems like there's been a lot of outside issues, not even policy discussions. Everything else has really kept a lot of things at a standstill.
Well, and I think it's a little harder to predict what's going to happen. You know, certainly with this administration not being anywhere near fully staffed, it's getting more and more difficult. You know, you call over to USDA and you ask for questions and you get some great folks, but they're not necessarily the policy people. So I think we'll be much better off when we can get those departments and those agencies fully staffed.
We'll talk Farm Bill in the second segment, but obviously trade is something that probably is, as we talk to a lot of farmers, that's even a bigger issue. What's going to be the future of NAFTA and other trade agreements?
And we're just very worried that the president might indeed decide to pull us out of NAFTA or put a 5-year sunset in. And so we're doing absolutely everything we can to talk about how important the trade is for the U.S. You know, 4% of the population here in the U.S., we can't afford to just cut off our markets.
Well, it looks like that Canada, Mexico, and even Bob Lighthizer, nobody can seem to agree. And so does that mean that will the other countries leave, or is it still in the hands of the U.S.?
Well, I haven't heard either Canada or Mexico be very serious about wanting to walk away from the table. And there are certain things, I mean, you think about in 94 when NAFTA went into effect, we didn't have biotechnology. Now we do. So there's a need for some of those things to be discussed. How much progress we can make on things like opening up the Canadian market for dairy and poultry and eggs, still pretty closed, is yet to be seen. But it's a negotiation. That's what it's called for a reason. You get winners and losers.
Are we in agriculture too closely aligned? Because there's more issues to that, and sometimes those get brought up as maybe even bigger sticking points to some of the ag issues that we're so concerned about.
Well, I think they are big issues, but I think it's more about this president seeing that we do have a little bit of a deficit with Canada and Mexico and saying, therefore, it's not a good trade agreement. Well, if you look at agriculture, we have always exported more to those two countries than we've imported. So we think it's pretty important to do no harm, at least to NAFTA, and hopefully make it better.
And what about bilateral trade deals? Those aren't coming either.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit of a worry. I mean, the Trump administration said they would come. Bilaterals are never going to be as strong as multilaterals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership or WTO because it just takes so long to get them implemented. And, you know, the bad news is we pulled out of TPP and now we've got the other 11 countries going forward without us.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Our conversation continues now with Mary Kay Thatcher from the American Farm Bureau Federation. And Mary Kay, obviously Farm Bill, that's something you've worked on for a number of them. Here we are again, but here we are in December, nowhere near getting it done.
Well, no, but it's not really due to be done until October 1st of 18. And I think sometime in the 2018 calendar year, we can get it done. We've started really early. We've had lots and lots of hearings, so we're ahead of the ballgame so far.
Well, Congressman Marshall at this meeting said maybe by the first quarter of next year. It probably is a little more optimistic maybe than, sometimes we get overly excited about getting a new farm bill done, but as we talked in the earlier segment, trade and some other issues, very important. But the number one question, I think, on everybody involved in agriculture is crop insurance going to be saved as Chairman Roberts said it would be?
Well, and no doubt, Pat Roberts was the father of crop insurance. He continues to be its biggest supporter, and he'll do everything possible. I think the biggest concerns we have about crop insurance are people who want to offer amendments to limit the amount of premium subsidy a farmer can get or limit the amount of money if you have a high adjusted gross income, et cetera. I don't see farmers or crop insurance companies or others looking to do much tinkering with the Farm Bill. I think we're looking more at just protect what we have. But those payment limits will definitely be amendments. Well,
that's one of the things that folks are looking at is because of the new administration, some of their thoughts is that what didn't happen in the last Farm Bill might happen this time, and at a time when the farm economy still hasn't recovered.
Absolutely. And, I think we have to keep talking about how important crop insurance is. And it seems to me that this time it's a little bit easier because I hear more out of bankers and the farm credit system about how important it is for their ability, given current commodity prices, to be able to lend to a farmer to have a reasonable amount of crop insurance. So we have some good friends that are invested in that. And, I think it's something that will be a very hard-fought fight. But I certainly hear less interest in the farm community in doing any damage to that than maybe other portions of the Farm Bill.
Not hearing anything about decoupling as far as taking the food programs out of a Farm Bill.
Well, yes, I think in the House side it's going to be very difficult, just like last time, to be able to pass it without splitting the two. People want to be able to make significant cuts, and that's the way they see it getting done, is to split it into two, and then you have less people rallying around each side, and they believe they can get it done. So that'll be a big fight for us, because certainly if we ever really split it through the House, through the Senate into law, it would be the last farm bill we could ever get done. We just don't have the constituency.
USDA came out and said by 2019 we may have more soybeans than corn. I mean, how is that going to play into a possible action of a farm bill?
Well, I think probably not too much change because so many people that produce corn produce soybeans too. So yes, there'll be a little bit of switch. It'll mean that if more soybean acres will probably make for a cheaper farm bill because soybeans are still so much higher than are the reference prices, the loan rates, whereas corn occasionally can catch that. Okay. And so, but I don't anticipate that just because there's that change that it'll really change policy much.
So, but you think we'll have the Farm Bill done in a timely manner when it normally should be done?
I do, and you're thinking about here in Kansas, you've got Pat Roberts as the chairman of the committee, and he's going to term limit out at the end of this year. And I think Pat really wants to be the first guy that's written a Farm Bill in the House and now one in the Senate. So I think he'll be working extra hard to get that done.
All right. Thanks for the update, Mary Kay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mary Kay Thatcher with the American Farm Bureau Federation has joined us. Stay tuned. We'll have more coming up.
Kansas Soybean Expo 2018 will be January 10 in Topeka. The Kansas Soybean Association organizes the annual event with checkoff funding from the Kansas Soybean Commission to coincide with the Topeka Farm Show. Thanks to the checkoff, there will be no registration fees again this year. Space is limited, however, so only those who pre-register by January 3 will have guaranteed seats at the luncheon and be eligible for the early bird prize drawing. The event is at the Manor Conference Center. Registration and exhibits open at 8:30 a.m. The program will be from 9 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. A reception with association and commission leaders will follow. The opening session will offer checkoff partner updates from the U.S. Soybean Export Council and USA Poultry, Egg, and Export Council. Then farm boy turned comedian Roger Radley will address the crowd. At lunch, Donnell Rehagen, CEO of the National Biodiesel Board, will explain how that industry continues to be underutilized. Following some awards and recognitions, including the 2018 DuPont Young Leaders, the Kansas Soybean Association will conduct its annual meeting. Afterward, the Kansas Soybean Yield and Value Contest winners will be announced. Then participants will hear from K-State experts about increasing soybean yields through improved management, controlling stem borer, and the dicamba conundrum. Find the full agenda and pre-registration form at kansassoybeans.org/expo on the web or call 877-KS-SOYBEAN.
The Kansas State Fair is a special time of year, and the Kansas Department of Agriculture is always excited to be a part of it, assisting with a variety of areas ranging from animal health and food safety to agriculture education and advocacy. Our trademark program, From the Land of Kansas, will feature a booth in the Pride of Kansas building all week. Chef Allie will give live cooking demonstrations on both weekends, and many of our member companies will be featured in the booth, from offering tasting opportunities and selling their From the Land of Kansas products. KDA will be in the AgriLand booth, which is also in the Pride of Kansas building. Children visiting AgriLand will gain a hands-on experience learning how Kansas crops and livestock provide us with food and other items we use every day. Our Division of Animal Health staff will be providing biosecurity services to the thousands of livestock exhibitors bringing animals to show at the fair. Exhibitors must present inspection forms to help ensure the safety of all animals and exhibitors at the fair. Our food safety and lodging program personnel will be present to inspect the food vendors and provide education and assistance to all of the vendors, ensuring the food preparation areas are clean and food is prepared and stored safely, and that workers are following proper food handling guidelines. The Kansas Department of Agriculture encourages all Kansans to head to the fair to enjoy all of the exhibits, the entertainment, competitions, and educational displays. The Kansas State Fair is a wonderful showcase of Kansas agriculture, industry, and culture, as well as an educational and entertaining experience that is the pride of all
This
Kansans.
segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business, providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
KLA members elected Garden City cattle feeder and farmer Lee Reeve as president during the group's annual business meeting December 1st in Wichita. The membership chose Barb Downey, a rancher from Wamego, as KLA president-elect. Both are part of multiple generation family businesses. Reeve is a principal in his family's integrated agribusiness that includes Reeve Cattle Company, Reeve Agri Energy, and irrigated farming interests. Reeve Cattle Company is a 46,000 head feed yard started by his father, Jack, in 1962. Reeve represents the sixth generation of his family in the cattle business and the second generation to have served as a KLA officer. His father was KLA president in 1975. He is a past chair of both the KLA Cattle Feeders Council and KLA Water Committee. Downey represents the fourth generation of her family in the ranching business. She and her husband, Joe Carpenter, operate the ranch, which consists of a registered Angus and commercial Angus-based cow herd that grazes pastures in Wabaunsee and Riley counties. Downey is a past chair of the Kansas Beef Council and currently is vice president of the NCBA Region 7 Federation Division. She is a past chair of the KLA Natural Resources Committee and has served on the KLA Policy and Resolutions Committee.
Good morning, I'm Darren Van Vactor with Paragon Ag. A weather market in December seems kind of odd with the first official day of winter right around the corner. Eyes and ears are focused heavily on the ever-changing South American weather patterns. Shifting rain forecasts coupled with differing precipitation estimates and dry pockets keep everyone guessing on what production could look like. Conversely, a plummeting real versus a climbing US dollar has kept the lid on the upside, specifically in the beans. Even with this type of a currency move, we continue to see sizable export sales in the states. Unable to stoke either the bearish or the bullish fire, the December USDA supply and demand report was fairly neutral across the board. Although demand was a little less than to be desired, the beans are still holding in the upper half of the trading range. You really could make a case to retest the recent highs or pressure the 3-month lows. Keep in mind, this year's trading range is about half of 2016's. Weather and outside markets will continue to play a role. As for corn and wheat, well, they're still searching for their positive headline. There may be a weather headline for wheat if the dry conditions persist and temperatures snap off colder this winter. It is just too soon, but as we work through winter, this blip on the map could fuel a headline down the road. Final decisions are difficult no matter what time of year. If you need to sell last year's crop or you think you should start on new crop and you can't decide, consider an alternative strategy. Let us help find the strategy that fits you. Give us a call here at Paragon Ag Advisors, 888-452-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
That's this week's show. For more ag news or watch the show again, go to KansasAgReport.com. For my partner, Ken Rogers, I'm Brian Holman. Thanks for watching.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.